Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Basketball Club International's Courtside Live. My name is Clark Kellogg, and I will be serving as your host for this BCI CSL event. These events are a series of real-time, online, interactive public events that connect professional basketball players to fans and young folks around the world. This event features real-time access to players about both the practical and spiritual aspects of life in the pros. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Athletes in Action for collaborating with us on this CSL event. You can check out their website at www.athletesinaction.org. We're happy to host this BCI Courtside Live via Facebook Live using Blue Jeans on social. Now let's get to our program. I'd like to introduce the guests that have chosen to join me this evening. First, Ty Ellis has spent the past 20 years in basketball as a professional player and coach at the international, NBA, G League, NBA, and USA basketball levels. Ellis has had 2 coaching stints with USA basketball, serving as an assistant coach for USA head coach Jeff Van Gundy and the 2017 USA AmeriCup team. Ellis helped the Americans compile a 5-0 record to claim the 2017 FIBA Americas Championship. In 2019 and 2021, Ellis served as the camp director for the NBA G League Elite Camp, an annual NBA event held in Chicago to showcase the talent of potential draft picks. Ty is also the co-founder of the Ellis Performance Group, a performance consulting company specializing in growth mindset, leadership, and empowerment. As a speaker, Ty is frequently invited to share his inspiring story to motivate, empower, and inspire people into action. He speaks to various companies, organizations, and universities to serve as a conduit to personal and professional growth and success. Also joining us, born and raised in San Bernardino, California, Johnny Dukes was a McDonald's All-American nominee at Eisenhower High School in Rialto. After college ball at the University of San Francisco, he went on to have a professional career of 6 years playing in Europe and Asia. He played in Turkey, Ukraine, Belgium, Japan, and the NBA D-League. Following his playing career, Dukes spent the past 6 years at the high school level coaching, winning 2 CIF championships, one in 2017 and another one in 2019. In 2018, Dukes was inducted into the City of Rialto's Hall of Fame. Today, he is a first-year head coach at Rancho Verde High School in Moreno Valley, California. And we've got 3 of his players that have chosen to hang out with us tonight. Really happy to have them in the house this evening. Jacob Mcfarland, he's there right to Coach Dukes. Right there he is with a big paw right there. He's a 6'11 junior, a very hard-working, outstanding student with a GPA of over 3.0 and is certainly a Division I basketball prospect. To Coach Dukes' left, Raylan Simpson is a 6'2 junior shooting guard. He's one of the hardest workers both on and off the court. He also holds a GPA average over 3.0, and he's going to have a chance to play college basketball as well. And then finally, to the far right, Nick Fleming, a 6'4 senior. He carries the highest GPA on their team. I wonder what that is with those 2 guys sitting there with him being north of 3.0. That must mean Nick might be hovering around that 4.0 mark maybe. But anyway, he's an outstanding basketball player who handles himself well on and off the court. So thank you all for being here. We're going to have an opportunity to entertain questions and have just a conversation about where you are in your games and what you're doing and the like. But before we get into a little conversation and chop it up time, I would like to remind those of you viewing that we can entertain your questions if you'll just put them in the chat box. Use the comment box and we'll try to get to any questions that you might have during our time with you tonight. So here we go. I'm going to start with our guest from out in California, our Coach Johnny Dukes. Talk a little bit about the season that you guys are in right now and how it's been going thus far, and just give us a sense of your expectations for your team as you move a little beyond the halfway point of the season, Coach Dukes?
First off, thanks for having us. Yeah, we're currently 11-4 on the season. We've won 7 out of the last 8 games. We're at the first half of our Ivy League play, and we're 2-0. We had a game last night on MLK Day where we played a road game. We came away victorious, winning by 18 points. We play a school called Riverside Notre Dame tomorrow, which is a league game, and then we play the powerhouse Riverside Poly on Friday. So that one should be a good one. But just our expectations moving forward, just taking it game by game, continuing to move up the ranks. You know, being a first-year head coach, I got a lot of new guys. Every face is new. So we're just trying to gel, and I think we're hitting our stride at the right moment. It's usually not how you start, but it's that momentum you build up towards the end of the season that'll help you throughout the playoffs.
No question. Nick, since you're the oldest, you're the senior in the group, I'll start with you from a player standpoint. Coach just talked about how you've got a lot of new players on the squad. How have you tried to be a leader for this group, considering that you are one of the seniors on the team?
I basically just try to like set an example. Like high school basketball, like it goes by faster than you think. So you just want to take it moment by moment. Don't take anything for granted.
Well said. Jacob, talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to in this last part of the season and how well you think you guys can do as you move forward.
I hope we do good. I hope we finish either first place in the league or tied for the league, and hopefully CIF championship.
Raylan, you're a 2-guard, a shooting guard, one of the juniors on the squad. What's been the thing that you've worked on most coming into this season as a player?
Trying to stay consistent, with my jump shot and stuff like that. Just keep working hard every time, trying to make sure my teammates keep working hard and stuff like that too. So.
Excellent. Coach Dukes, last question, and I'm going to give Ty an opportunity to step in and engage in our conversation. What's been the challenge? This is your first year as a head coach here, and you've got new players. How have you tried to approach that in terms of getting the most out of these guys as you've started to coach them?
I kind of consider myself a player's coach, so everything I teach is something that I've already done. So I think that, being 6'8", I obviously have the stature that, that kind of jumps out at you. But I think they kind of realize that everything that I've taught them so far, like I've actually done it as a player, and I'm not just saying it. And I don't believe you have to have played basketball to be a great coach, but I think it certainly helps when your players know you've been through the trenches and they want to go exactly where you've been. So I think that helps it along a little bit easier.
Ty, you've coached, you've played. As you listen to Coach Dukes and you've heard the players talk a little bit, what comes to your mind? And I'm going to give them a chance to maybe flip the script and pose a couple of questions for you. But as you think about coaching at the high school level, having a team that's had some success, 11-4, and looking to move forward, what comes to your mind is something that you would offer to a first-year high school head coach?
Well, right off the bat, I see a strong culture. I see how the young men are talking. I see how they're excellent on and off the court with their GPAs. And so it's obvious that Coach Dukes has a really strong culture, and he used the word teach, right? And that's something that, as a leader, I've heard so many coaches talk, well, this generation of players are this, and they're that. They're weaker mentally. And back in my day, all these different things. And I stop them. I'm like, man, they're being attacked way more than we were ever attacked. The devil is busy, right? And so we have to teach them. We just can't tell them what to do. And Coach Dukes mentioned the word teach, right? Yeah. And so as a coach, I'm a teacher first. I teach the why, the how, then the what. Right. And I see so many coaches making mistakes by telling the what first, but I don't see that. I hear that Coach Dukes takes his time and he's teaching these guys excellence on and off the court.
Yeah, that's impressive for sure. Any questions you guys have for Ty, any of the players or even Coach Dukes that you'd want to ask Ty? He's a guy who's – okay, go ahead, Jacob.
Who is the hardest worker you've played with or coached, like on and off the court?
Right now, the first guy that comes to mind is Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent now is playing for the Miami Heat. He was actually the starting point guard the last couple of months because Kyle was out, Jimmy was out. But Gabe actually he's from Stockton, went to Santa Barbara, and his rookie year, he averaged 8 points his rookie year. And he didn't have any summer league opportunities. His sophomore year, with me, he came in and averaged 24 points, shooting 89% from the free throw, 42% from three, and I think 49 from the field, off the bench, right? And people ask me, well, how'd you get Gabe to come off the bench? I said, man, Gabe, I didn't change his game. I just changed his mindset, right? And he has a growth mindset. Now, before it was a fixed mindset. And we'll talk about that later, but Gabe embraced the journey. He didn't care about, he wasn't being held hostage by other people's opinions. And I asked him, do you understand the value that you can show these NBA teams if you can come off the bench and average 20-some points? Right? He averaged 24 points off the bench playing behind Kyle Guy. And now, ironically, Gabe just signed a multi-year deal, and Kyle Guy is a two-way player for the Heat. But Gabe was committed to greatness. He was committed to greatness. He understood the power of failure. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later, but Gabe Vincent comes to mind, and William Gabriel, 6'10" kid from Kentucky.
Mhm.
I had him his rookie year as well. And Williams, he works. He's a consistent worker. And that's
And
the key
Ty,
skill.
what does work look like at that level? So
Mhm.
I think it would be helpful for these young guys to kind of hear what work looks like, maybe more so from the practice standpoint and
Yeah.
the day-to-day versus the games.
The game is a byproduct of practice. So my whole idea is win the day. I don't start practice on Monday and think about the game on Friday. Nah, I'm gonna be great today, and then when tomorrow come, I'll be great tomorrow. But William, he took care of his body. He came in very frail, so he knew he had to put on weight. And being a naturally skinny guy, that takes discipline, that takes purpose, it takes commitment. And William put on 25 pounds of muscle, which created value, right? And so he worked on the court, he worked off the court, he studied film. If you follow him on Instagram, he's all about empowering. Like he understands that if I ask you guys right now, what's the most important muscles in baseball or football or basketball, you guys start naming body parts, right? But he understood the most important muscle is your mind. And he had the mental training. He had the mental conditioning. Therefore, he was never affected by the mental emergencies that this world would bring you. And so that's what my definition of working hard is: on the court, off the court, classroom, in the community. Everything he did, it had a level of excellence to it.
Yeah, beautiful. Any other questions, Nick or Raylan? There you go. Go ahead, Raylan.
As a basketball player, like what got your confidence up?
Man, I grew up stuttering. And so I'm gonna talk about it later, but once I overcame that, I became fearless. Like, and think about this. If I ask each of you guys who is your best friend, right? Give me a name from each of you guys.
My
Who's your
friend,
best friend? I'm
my friend,
sorry.
my friend Dwayne.
Okay, how about you? Next.
I gotta say Corey and Sean. I got two.
Okay, bet. All right. Next.
Shakina.
Okay, next.
Donovan.
Okay. So all four of you guys did not name yourself, right? Your confidence is built from within. It's self-confidence. My best friend is Ty. So therefore, I control my thoughts that come in my mind. I tell people who lack confidence, change your playlist. And they look at me crazy. Okay, well, if I'm lifting weights, I want some thump. If I'm going to church, I want some Marvin Sapp. If I want to build confidence, I cannot say, keep having a playlist. I'm not, I can't, and coach is hating on me. My playlist for me is I can. Even in the midst of failure, I'm going to learn from it. I understand that failure and success are fraternal twins. They're born on the exact same day, look nothing alike, but they need each other. I need to fail to be great. And with that mindset, I'm always confident. I'm always confident, always. And the journey that God allowed me to go through, like there is nothing that I can't do. I really believe that, man, because nobody knows my story and nobody knows my vision. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Cool.
Yeah, excellent. One more, and then I know you've got a video you want to share with us that probably dovetails right into what you've been talking about, Ty. But
Man,
if there's another question, fire away, guys. Go ahead, Nick.
What's one thing you wish you would have like when you were playing at the high school level? What's one thing you wish you would have done differently?
I wish I would have embraced the weight room. You know, I was a tall, skinny kid, and I was embarrassed. I wanted to put on 45s, but I couldn't. You know, I had the 10s and 15s, and that's embarrassing when your teammates are you know, that noise clink, 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 and mine is like clink. And so I wish I would have embraced the weight room, but but outside of that, man, I went to Dallas Carter, and so there's a couple of movies about my high school, Friday Night Lights, and so my high school was a real big football sports school, but I was a tall kid, man, and skinny and with a big old head, and I wish I would have put more energy and effort in the weight room.
I appreciate those questions. Those are great questions. Appreciate your responses, Ty. We're going to take a break and let Ty share a video, and then we'll
Yeah.
come back and continue our conversation. So, Ty, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce the video and take it from here for a bit.
All right, so I have a slide and a video, and then Mr. Kellogg will come back and ask some questions. But it wasn't until I've played against Kobe, I've been around him, and it wasn't until he passed, unfortunately, I really understood his mentality. I admire his on court tenacity, his on court success. But when he passed, I really started to study him. So the Mamba mentality, it says, it's a constant quest to be better today than you were yesterday and be better tomorrow than you were today. The mentality, it's his way of thinking, right? And so this next slide, I want to show you the vision he had of himself and his commitment to greatness. And so let's take about 4 to 5 minutes to watch this video, and would love to hear your thoughts on it. I can't hear it. I'm not sure if you guys can or cannot.
No, we can't either.
How much more done by simply starting it. All right. And so now you do that as the years go on. Separation with competitors and your peers just grows larger. By year 5 or 6, no matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic? Or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just
taught you that?
for me. It was just common sense. Like I can if I start earlier, I can train more hours. And I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. Right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
When did you start doing that?
In high school. We start. My first class in high school was 7:45. I used to get to the gym around 5 a.m. and I'd play before school, and then school would start.
Who's playing with you at 5 a.m.?
My coach. So my coach would show up, and we'd do all these basketball drills.
So just you and your coach?
Just me and my coach. And sometimes it would just be me and the janitor. Who's still there today. And then I play at lunchtime.
That guy should get a medal.
I hooked him up with a few. But I play during lunch and then practice after. Go home, do my schoolwork, and then watch a bunch of game film and games on TV. And then after that, I would go to the gym. And then 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 I would go to the gym. study film.
Was that the only thing you've been obsessed about, basketball?
Well, until recently, yeah. Basketball has dominated, my entire life, more than 30 years.
When I brought it up, like, is it genetic or you just learned it? I mean, how did that idea even come up? Because that's obviously a pillar of Mamba mentality, the obsessiveness. Just like you said, I'm going to get up at 4. Everybody's get up at 6. If everybody's going to get up at 4, I'm going to get up at 2.
Right.
Right. How do you develop that, or where do you learn that from?
Well, I think it's just a matter of what's important to you. For whatever reason, I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. And so the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it, because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be. So that's where it comes from. You can't leave any stone unturned. But the important thing to understand is you can't shortchange yourself. Like, you're not cheating anybody but yourself. I mean, you're tired. You're literally this far away from the line. Why would you not go that extra to touch the line? Right? So if I let him get away with that, right, all of a sudden he starts maybe to cheat something over here, right? Not give his best over here, not give his best over here. And as years go on, he's going to be he's not going to reach his full potential because he's been taking these little shortcuts that just add up. Can't let that happen. Our job as teachers, as mentors, as inspirers, it's our responsibility to hold them accountable to those things.
The funny part is we were just talking about this kid. We're in the back, and Kobe's like, I bet you that kid will never, ever miss the line again.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
That one moment. Yeah. So that's you being obsessive, but teaching obsessiveness, because that's what you got to be, right? You have to be obsessive to get to that level in everything you do. Details, don't waste time, do it right, perfection.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's like whatever you're doing at that moment is what you're doing at that moment. Session or attention to detail.
We had a bit of a technical glitch there, it appears. And if that's the case, maybe we got plenty of meat on that bone anyway.
Yeah, we do.
There was plenty of meat on that bone without finishing it up. So I'd like to take it to the players, each one, just to see what's your first takeaway from what you just saw and heard that you might be able to use for yourself.
I guess I'll go first. Really, I just need to work harder. Like watching a video talking about when Kobe wakes up before other people, get his day started. You don't get that time back. You're sleeping, staying up late on your phone and stuff. So it's really like put in my mind that just gotta lock in, trust the process, stuff like that.
Excellent. What about you, Jacob?
Don't cheat yourself.
Yeah, that's
In the
good.
video, he was saying, like, for example, doing a suicide, not touching the line, that could give you extra endurance for your game. So it's better to go the whole way than short yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And mine is just the time. You know how you just wake up early, and I wake up at like 4 o'clock and stuff like that. Because first I like to spend time with God, and then I'll go like work out and stuff like that. So I just like to hear that, just to see a big professional basketball player like that, like he's waking up that early, and for him to get that far, so it just like makes me want to be more consistent. You know, just to keep waking up early and getting my day started. Yeah.
What about you, Coach Dukes? Did you grab anything that you might put in your book bag from that short video?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the little things take care of the big things. And if you do just a little bit more every day, when you get to the end of each week, it'll amount to a lot more than you originally thought. So I myself too, I'm the same way as Raylan. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and I jump on my Peloton before work, and I go to work, and then before I get to practice, sometimes I hit the gym one more time, and then I come to practice, and then I'm guys for 2.5 to 3 hours, and then then I go home and try to go to bed as early as I can so I can get enough sleep and wake up.
Yeah, no, that's good. Ty, I think you've got some other slides too before we let you kind of wax on what the video from Kobe speaks to you and what you've been able to share with others from that. But I think you've got a couple of other slides that you want to share with us.
Yeah, yes, I definitely do. The one thing Kobe didn't talk about, he talked about, or we didn't hear, was obsession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Attention to detail to the action you are performing at the time you are performing it. And I think a lot of young men and women, whether or even people that's not even in sports, we focus on too much of the future and don't give all of your energy and attention to what you're doing at that moment. So I thought that was a key takeaway. But so the core values to achieve greatness, right? We all have our internal values, like who we are. That's our DNA, right? So if I was to ask 10 random friends about you to name 5 values that you embody, they should name at least 3 of the same things, right? That's your DNA. That's what you fight for every single day to create your core values. But the core values to achieve greatness are very, very simple, right? It's 4 of them, at least 4. These 4. You may have 5, 6, 7, but you cannot achieve greatness without these 4. I call it my C-Doc: commitment, discipline, ownership, and consistency. You gotta have all 4 of these to achieve greatness. Commitment: are you walking down the steps or are you jumping in? So a very quick story. I remember I told my son, he was like 6 or 7. I told him, Monday, son, Friday, we going swimming, right? You be a good kid at school, do your chores, we going swimming. So Thursday come, I'm looking at the temperature. It's gonna be chilly outside. It's gonna be cold outside on Friday. But I cannot be the bad person. I'm gonna let Mother Nature, right? I'm gonna let God be the bad person and tell him we can't go. So Friday, it's cold outside, and he asked me, Dad, are we going swimming? Yeah, sure, let's go outside. I'm hoping he would see how cold it is and like, well, let's wait till next week. Nope. My son takes his clothes off, he jumps in. And he jumps in with so much excitement, but I'm thinking it's gonna be so cold, he's gonna jump right back out. Nope. He's in there shaking and trembling. And I say, son, isn't it cold? He said, yeah, Daddy, but it only hurts for a little bit. Then I can have fun. And I believed him. I started walking down the steps. As soon as the water got to my inner thigh, I turned around and I walked back. His level of commitment was totally different than mine. Because when you jump in, there's a moment in time where you jump in the pool, you can't turn back. And he knew that, but he didn't care. He was fully committed. My level of commitment, as soon as it got too cold, it started hurting, I was walking back. So I use this story because so many of us, when times get hard, they turn around. When times get difficult, nah, I don't want to do this. But no, it only hurts for a little bit. And then you can have fun and enjoy what all of you guys want to achieve. Discipline: the ability to train, correct, or perfect a pattern of behavior. It's your choice. It's your choice. It's very simple. Either you're going to look in the mirror or look out the window. It's on you, right? There's 2 things that happen with discipline. Either you're going to have discipline or you're going to have regret. But you're going to have one or 2 of those. So why not embrace discipline? I promise you. Listen to this. I promise you, the pain of discipline feels so much better than the pain of regret. Ownership: to be responsible for one's actions and reactions, right? And consistency: to be reliable and trustworthy. Building habits of excellence. Win the day. And so I remember talking to my players the importance of consistency, right? It builds trust. And so when guys don't want to practice hard, when guys come to practice late, well, I trust you to be you. So when it's time for me to put the best five in to help me win that game, I don't want to see no sad faces because you was the same guy who didn't touch that line. You was the same guy who had no attention to detail in practice. Consistency builds trust, gentlemen, in a positive way or a negative way, right? And so I want to ask you guys a question, and I want to hear your answers after this slideshow. What is the biggest threat to being great? What is the biggest threat to being great? All right. So I want to move on to talk about mindset. So the most powerful thing a person can experience in life is a mindset change. Mine happened at the age of 8 or 9. So as I told you guys before, I grew up stuttering really bad. It was to the point where I didn't even like talking outside of my home. So I would answer my questions yes, no, or I don't know. I would use I would answer questions verbally, and it was to the point where my teachers thought something was wrong with me. They thought I was autistic. I took the test, I passed the test, and now I'm a genius. I go from being autistic to a genius, but I just stuttered. And I remember asking my grandmother, why did God choose me? I can't play with my friends. I get teased. I get bullied. Why did God choose me? And she asked me a question. She said, are you the only person to have ever gone through this? I said, no. Okay, well, God didn't choose you. God didn't curse you, right? And she said, son, that's God's way of reminding you of how special you are. You're going to speak for a living. You're going to lead many. Bam, mindset change. So you asked me earlier about fear. I have no fear, right? For people who don't stutter, you have no idea the mental resilience that we have to embody just to answer a question. And so when I got over stuttering, come on, man, there's nothing that I can't do, right? And so, but I went from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And I want to give you guys the definitions of the two. A fixed mindset is a person who assumes their intelligence and skills are relatively set. A fixed mindset athlete believes that innate gifts and talents are enough. Either I have what it takes or I don't, and nothing can be done about it. All right. A growth mindset. A growth mindset is a belief that your innate talents or gifts can be developed through commitment, discipline, and effort. A growth mindset athlete believes that consistent effort will help you fulfill your potential and grow your talent. I'm going to tell you guys, if I'm talking to athletes, I'm talking to children, I may be talking to C-level executives. It is imperative that we identify the fixed mindset traits and our growth mindset traits. The fixed mindset traits will develop mental strongholds. And what is a mental stronghold? A mental stronghold are houses of negative thoughts that you hoard in your mind that affects your beliefs, behaviors, and confidence. Right? And so some of the most common mental strongholds is confidence, fear, overthinking, anxiety, all of those. But the two most that I deal with when talking with different clients is fear and confidence, right? Especially fear, the fear of failure, right? And I want to let you all know that fear is a God-given emotion, right? So fear is meant to be good for you. Fear is good in the jungle. Fear is good in the dark alley, right? It's the spirit of fear that we have to avoid. It's the spirit of fear that will hold us hostage from reaching our full potential, right? And so I really want you guys to understand the difference between the spirit of fear and appropriate fear. Appropriate fear is going to build purpose, respect, and also build confidence in your journey. And as we talked about earlier, how do you build confidence? Your best friend needs to encourage you more often than not. Your best friend is you. You are your best friend. right? And whether it's waking up early to meditate, to be mindful, but you got to start your day putting on that armor. All right. So I want to turn it back over to Clark so we can maybe ask some questions or give you guys an opportunity to ask questions so I can go more in detail.
Yeah, Ty, I really appreciate that because it gives a clear picture of some of the elements and some of the practical steps we can take. And it's not just for young players or young people, it's self-talk for us. I heard it once said from a mentor of mine that we're in our heads more than anybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're saying to ourselves is important, and how we consistently speak words of truth, but also affirmation and encouragement is critical. And I know the scriptures talk about, for those of us who've given our hearts and lives to God through faith in Christ, that we're to be transformed through the renewing of our minds, the constant renewing of our minds so that we become transformed. So great takeaways there. And let me just ask you this, as you speak to players, particularly players, because these young men are players and they're in their fairly early in their life journeys, what is it that you want them to take away most from what you've just presented? And then we'll get back to your question. I don't want to leave that question that you put out there for all of us to think about. What is the greatest hurdle or hindrance to success or to achieving success? Yeah. So to being great. So, but yeah, what is it that you would like folks to take away when you have a chance to share what you just shared with us?
Well, there's two things. I heard this one gentleman say it. He said the quickest way to reaching your vision is slowly. Right. And I think in this particular day and age, we're in a hurry with everything. Right. And it's okay to take your time. And I'm using my own advice right now in the season that I'm in right now. Right. God has given you a vision, and it's very hard to distinguish between your vision and your ambition. Right? It's a fine line. And I had to learn that I put my ambitions before God's vision, and that's why I became stagnant in my growth. But if my vision is to give God's gift. I know I'm a leader, and I know I inspire. And if I put that first and I give it as much as I possibly can, all of my ambitions will be met. Right? And so if you can distinguish that, like, you are so far ahead of the game. And last but not least, creating value. Money and opportunity is attracted to value. And if you create value, the world will pay you to be yourself. You don't have to chase anything. I pursue everything. Think about what you chase. Anything you chase, it runs from you. But anything you pursue, there's purpose. There's focus behind reaching what you are pursuing. Just think about a dog race. When they open up the gate, the rabbit takes off and they chase it. Nah, but if you pursue it, you just turn around and go the opposite direction. And that's what I want you guys to start that growth mindset in pursuing everything. Everything you guys want is readily available. I promise you that. But it takes the right mindset to get it.
All right, let's go back to your question, Ty. I didn't frame it right, but the one you wanted us all and you wanted to hear the players respond to, and I'd like to hear their responses as well.
What is the biggest threat to being great?
I'll start. I would say the fear of success.
And why do you say that?
Because the player might see just failure around him and kind of feel uncomfortable to step out of that zone of failure, so they just don't reach their potential.
Okay, all right.
That's a pretty deep perspective right there.
It is.
That is really deep.
It is. All right, I like that.
Yeah, that's yeah. Who wants, Nick or Raylan?
I'll just say faith. I'll just believing in yourself is knowing that, like what you said, like myself, I believe in God and stuff like that. God gave us a spirit. We can do all things through Him. So just gotta have faith and believe when times get hard and stuff like that. You just gotta know that, you could get through those things, and those trials is what build our characters and stuff like that. So just believe and just to keep going and never to give up type stuff.
All right. All right. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I would
You,
say
Nick.
mindset. Really just the only thing holding you back is yourself. So you just have to push through and basically it.
Mindset. That's
Sorry, Coach.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give me the question one more time? I just want to make sure I got this
No,
right.
no worries. What is the biggest threat to being great?
Nowadays, social media is one of them, but I will also say satisfaction. When you get a little taste of greatness, people kind of rest on their laurels and the things that they've done. And like they said, you may not maximize your potential because you think, you reached, the pinnacle of where you wanted to get to, but, God may have something way further beyond that. And if you're satisfied and you stop there, you won't ever maximize that potential.
Coach, so first and foremost, I'm sorry, Clark, did you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I'll fire one. I think complacency is one of them.
Yeah.
But the fear of success is an interesting one that I've thought about because there's accountability and responsibility that comes with being successful that tends to sometimes shy people away from really reaching for it.
Yeah.
Because there's a fear of what it's going to not only take to get there, but what you have to do once you get there. And that sometimes can dissuade or keep people from really reaching. There's always, in that case, I sense that you want to reach, but you don't really want to extend.
Yeah.
To go get it, to go after it, because you have to put yourself out there to give it a chance. And sometimes you pull back, or people have pulled back instead of jumping in like your son did.
Yep.
There's an element of wanting to be in the water, but not wanting to jump in. And So that's, and the complacency component, like Coach Duke said, that too can, you get fat and full and you get to a point and you're like, I've arrived. Those are things that I think can threaten.
Yeah. And so
greatness.
So I think all of the answers are right. I think it's bottled up in the answer, right? And I believe the biggest threat to being great is being good. The biggest threat to being great is being good, and this is what it means. So the CDOC: commitment, discipline, ownership, and consistency. You can have 1, 2, or even 3 of those and be good. So I want you guys to ask yourself, how many times have I scored 20 and everybody's loving me, but internally, I could have had 30. I could have had 40, right? So being good is external. Being great is internal. Being good is a moment. Being great is a lifestyle. It's hard to be the best. It's hard to be great because it requires all 4 of those components: commitment, discipline, ownership, and consistency. You can be good and have a great life, right? But to be great, it's hard. That's why there's a ton of 6'7", 225-pound, whatever Kobe physical attributes are. Those come a dime a dozen in the sport of basketball. But why was Kobe Kobe? He wasn't the highest jumper. He wasn't the quickest guard. But his commitment, his discipline, his ownership, and his consistency made him great. And so as I talk to different athletes, male, female, different C-level executives, when I say that, they start to ponder on the opportunities that they passed up. Greatness. I don't know why. Everybody has different reasons. Some of what each and every one of you guys said. But ideally, what Clark and Coach Duke talked about, the complacency, it's really hard to want more when you got everybody loving you, right? It's really hard to be great if you're in the middle of the season and you rank number 1 in your division. Or you just beat a team by 20 and you lose the next game to a team that you shouldn't lose to. It's really hard. And so that particular, as I'm studying and God put that on my spirit, I looked at myself, right? And it was, it wasn't a good vision that God gave me about myself. But I will say this, I'm right now, I have the commitment, the discipline, and now the ownership and the consistency to be great. Right. And so whatever God puts me in, his vision is above my ambition. My ambition say I want to be an NBA head coach. My vision says I want you to inspire and teach. And if that's head coaching or your business, I don't care. I'm committed to God's will. I'm committed to the journey of being great. Right. And so that's I would love to hear your comments on that, and I'll just turn it over back to Clark.
Yeah, I would love to delve. That's really good. I love the part around greatness being internal
Mm-hmm.
and how
Mm-hmm.
that inner drive. And I hope the young fellows can hear that. It's not just what you achieve externally, it's how you go about living your
Yes.
life with the gifts and
Yep.
opportunities that God gives you. Are you making the most of those? And that leads me right into character and what role does character play in the CDOC piece? And I'd love Johnny to talk a little bit about how he views the importance of character as a former pro athlete, a former pro player on the court, and now as a high school coach. What role do you see character playing in your journey as a high school basketball coach?
I think character is one of the biggest components when it comes to that. We always talk about how we conduct ourselves on the court, but also off the court, because as you know, these gentlemen walk around campus, they're role models. Kids look up to them, and you have to have good character. You have to have good integrity. People have to trust and believe in you, and want you to do great things with yourself. So if you have great character, I think that can take you a long way, because these guys are going to be recruited. And like when coaches are looking for other players, there are a lot of great players. But one of the biggest questions they're going to ask is, how is his character? Does he go to class? Does he work hard? Is he respectable? Are his pants falling off his behind? How does he dress? It's everything in how they carry themselves. So they want high character guys to come to their program, because at the end of the day, this is their job on the line. So if they don't bring in the right guys and it tears down the program, they'll lose their job. So they have to recruit high character guys. So they want guys that they know are going to do the right thing, that are going to come on time, that are going to work hard and be the best them that they can be every single day.
Yeah, I want to hear the young guys talk about how they view character and its importance. You guys are young men. You're part of a team. You're having some success. But speak to me and Ty, and to those listening, how you guys see character and its importance. And I think I'll start with you, Raylan, and then we'll just go right across.
Think about character, just us as being young. To set a good example, to be a leader, because, there's always someone watching you. So, just as young men, just to, have a good character around certain people so they could, they may follow your steps. So you could just set a good example for others.
Just like how Ray said, setting a good example for others, having good character. You never know who's watching you. It could be a college coach and they see you just one time acting up, and that's it for you.
Go ahead, Nick.
My mom always says character is one of the you want that to be one of your best qualities, and I always just want to make sure, because like they said, you never know who's watching. I always want to have integrity, just doing the right thing, and that's basically it.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Just consistently trying to do the right thing all the time. It's never out of season to do what's right. And it's the little things, as Ty had indicated in some of the slides he showed. It's the consistency of the small things, the little things, how you dress, how you show up for school, how you show up for practice, how you interact with your teammates, how you interact with strangers, classmates, teachers. All of those things that you do on a daily basis are part of how we develop our character and develop the trustworthiness from others. And that's something that's valuable. Ty, how would you kind of frame it from a character standpoint and its importance?
Yeah, like character and your values, in my opinion, are synonymous, right? Like it's important to when these coaches call, they're calling coach not to ask about your game. The video shows that. Now, and the separator are your disciplines, and your character. That's the separator, but it's not your game. They already see how your game can fit into their system. And I tell these guys that in the G League and even in the NBA, so many scouts come to the game early to see how you warm up. Are you going through the layup line just putting up like just bad shots? Or are you really taking the layup line serious? Or
Thank
you
you.
come with your iPad, with your iPods on and jamming and not really preparing yourself for the mental game? Believe it or not, you can lose the game before the game even starts because mentally you're not ready. Expectancy from your coach and the people watching you. So your coach says, "Are you ready? We've had a week of practice," and you say yes. Okay, bet. So mentally, physically, you're ready, but you're singing songs. I've literally seen guys in the layup line just singing songs, or I'm drawing a play up and then looking at the half court show. Like, come on, man, how can we win?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
all the small things matter, and believe it or not, you guys are famous. You guys are famous, and there's no class on how to be famous. Right? Everybody knows you, but you don't know everybody. And so when you do something you have no business doing, somebody's going to see you. And somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. And that's just how this business is, man.
Yeah.
So character is really important.
Yeah, very much so. Well said. Yeah, the little things are the big things. I had countless coaches in my journey drive that point home in addition to my late mom and dad. And it's true. The little things are the big things. The plain things are the main things. And when you can begin a process of establishing a foundation of doing the little things, even in my work as a broadcaster, to strive for excellence, there's a level of commitment one has to make to the process of preparation and film study and expanding my vocabulary and those types of disciplines so that I have a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance to excel in what I'm doing to the glory of God, to use where he's placed me, what he's given me in a way that would hopefully make him smile and please him, because I'm striving to be the best I can be and do the best I can do with what he's given me. And that kind of moves us towards our closing lap here, guys. A lot of good conversation, good questions, good comments, good material. Thank you so much, Ty, for your presentation. I mean, rich and well displayed and articulated. And Coach Dukes and your players, Nick and Jacob and Raylan, really appreciate you guys joining us. We've got a couple of minutes before we close. So I would like to give you guys any other questions pop up. Been an NBA player, Ty has played, your coach, obviously, you guys. Well, you know what? This is what I'd like to do. I would like each player to tell me something that you appreciate and like about the way Coach Johnny Dukes coaches and impacts you guys. That's what I want. And I'd like to hear each of you guys give me a nugget on Coach Dukes. And it's got to be on the positive side. No hate. All love. All love. All love.
I can start it. So basically, the coach before, then I messed with Coach Baker, but basically the way he played, like his style of coaching, we didn't really like. It didn't fit well with the players he had. So the way Coach Dukes just lets you rock, as long as you're doing what you have to do, what he requires, it's really it's more fun out there when you go play.
So he gives you a little room, gives you a little more runway, as long as you're kind of staying true to what he demands in terms of the priorities of what's important. I mean, that's how I'm interpreting. So tell me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Jacob, you got the floor.
It makes you feel want to be more confident. Like for me, last year I was just rebounding and like setting screens and blocking. This year I'm scoring more. That's all thanks to him. He says he would rather have me playing aggressively than playing soft, so I've been trying to do that more.
Yeah, excellent. Raylan?
I just like how coach just understands how we're all gonna make mistakes on the court, and like I always, as a basketball player, I always think I have to play perfect for me just to have a coach to know that, you know, you're gonna make mistakes and stuff like that, just to keep my head up. And
That's awesome. Ty, take that, what you've just heard. You're a coach, you're a teacher, you're an inspirer. How would you kind of tie that together as we wrap up here? We got about a minute to go before
Okay.
I got to close us out.
All right. It seems as if Coach Duke is teaching a growth mindset, you know, whether he's doing it purposely or not. And that's absolutely awesome, man. You know, for the to talk about mistakes and talk about failures with a fixed mindset, these young men will be held hostage from reaching their full potential. But with the growth mindset, everybody talk about taking L's, like take an L here, take an L there. With the growth mindset, those L's are life lessons, right? And this is what Coach Dukes is teaching right now. And man, hats off to you, bro. Like you don't know what you're doing until it's exposed. And I don't know if these guys are reading the teleprompter or not, but but I am extremely impressed and honored, man. And you were teaching these guys disciplines that you won't even see until 5 years from now when they're walking across that stage, whether it's the NBA or getting that college degree, man. So hats off to you, bro.
Yeah, and keep up the great work, Coach Dukes. And again, thank you guys for spending some time with us. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, to carve out an hour to chop it up with some folks you never met before, but I'm glad you guys carved out the time for us. And we've been blessed by your presence. Wish you the very best as you head towards the second half of conference play and then tournament action after that. But a lot of good stuff that was laid out for you today. Thank you too, Ty. Really appreciate your heart and what you shared. I've learned a lot and have added a nugget or two to my book bag. So thank you much. Thank each and every one of you. It is now time to head for home. So I've got to close this out. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of BCI. Really, again, I've already done it, but I can do it again. Thank Ty Ellis and Coach Johnny Dukes, each of the players, Raylan and Jacob and Nick, the Rancho Verde High Hoopers hanging out with us tonight and being part of tonight's event. And those of you in the viewing audience for your questions as well. You can watch archive CSL events on bciedge.org. That's BCI Edge, BCIEDGE.org. You can catch these events archived there. And finally, a special thanks to AIA for collaborating with BCI. And on behalf of BCI, thank you everybody for joining us. Be sure to follow BCI on Facebook and Twitter for info on our next PSL event. That'll be Tuesday, February 15th from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, thank you guys. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.